welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you're returning, or welcome if you're new here. Come in, take a seat. My name is Sienna, and today I thought I would just bring you along the next couple of days in my life. I've got some book updates for you, some other life updates. I've got some fun things happening. And I just thought I'd vlog it because why not? It is Sunday, like I said, which is From Day. If any of you guys watch From, the TV show on Stan in Australia, I think it's MGM if you live in the US, but it is a Sunday, which means From comes out here at like 6 p.m. And me and my sister every Sunday I go to like my parents' house where I grew up, where she is at the moment. And we watch From, which is honestly like one of the highlights of my week. But so far I've had a relaxing few days. I saw my friends yesterday and got to meet their new baby, which was really exciting. And I just spent the whole day with them basically. And then today, a Sunday in my house means it's cleaning day. I clean everything every Sunday, so that's what I do. Then I go pick up my groceries, just really fun, interesting things. And then I've just been on my couch watching like random things. To be honest, I've never even watched Summer House before, but I've been watching the reunions because I've been keeping up with like the West, Amanda, Kyle, Sierra drama of it, which again, I don't even watch the show, so why, I don't know, but it's just entertaining. And then I've watched A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the second season that's dropped. And just a lot of YouTube. I love watching YouTube. It's also BTS's Festa week, which means that today they've been dropping vlogs like every hour of each member's vlog, like a mini 6 minutes and 13-second vlog. And so I've been watching them every hour that they drop. And on the topic of BTS, this week was a great week because I did get tickets, well, one ticket for me, to the Melbourne show next year when they come to Australia. And when I tell you I cried tears of joy, I genuinely did. I have loved them since I was like 19 and I'm turning 26 this year. So for a very long time, they're everywhere in my house. I'm just like the biggest fan. I used to be so obsessed, and then they went to the military. I had a bit of a break while they were away just because I was too sad thinking about them, to be honest. And now they're back and the obsession is back in full force. And I'm so grateful that I got tickets, like so grateful. The fact that I could even get one was a miracle. Me and my sister were like there with our computers, iPads, phones, everything to try and get a ticket. And every time like either of us would zoom in and we'd select one, it was gone. So I managed to get a good ticket actually as well into the Melbourne show, and I'm just like so unbelievably grateful for that. And if you got tickets, please let me know if you'll be in Melbourne. That's so cool. I've had my army bomb for like so many years and I can't wait to actually be using it because I've never used it before at a concert because I've never come to Australia and I just haven't had, you know, the means or the time to go overseas to see them. So I can't believe they're coming. It fills me with so much joy, and that's been really the highlight of like my whole month. We're now in June, which is just like crazy to think about the fact that we're in June. And I feel like people say this and I say it every time we get into a new month of the year, but seriously, it is crazy to me. So that's the excitement of my week. Today, like I said, I've just been in between like watching things and reading. And I wanted to discuss a book that I have recently just finished, and then the 2 books that I'm currently reading. Also, this is my current like Kindle setup. I have stickers, which I do kind of wish I didn't put them on the actual Kindle itself, but that's okay. I still really love all the stickers I have on it. Like I have some BTS stickers, I have some Heartstopper stickers, I have a Miffy sticker. So I've got like an array of stickers that I really like and I still really love. And then I've just got like a clear case and a pop socket. And there are these cases by this brand. I'll put the like name up on the screen. I was about to say upstairs, but on the screen, I'll pop it there. I really want to get one of their cases. They're really cool. They have some really nice designs, and they have this like almost, I'll put the one I want on the screen. They have almost like this shine to them, and they have a flippable case. That's kind of the main reason I want it. I'm pretty particular about like my technology in that it always needs to be like perfect and protected at all times. And so I never take my Kindle with me because I'm afraid of it getting scratched. And so I do actually have a case my friend made, but it's at her house and I haven't been able to get it yet. But I really want to get one that has the flippable screen so that I can actually just take my Kindle with me to like work. The other day I was at work and I was like, why have I not been taking my Kindle with me? I could literally be reading here or just out to places, and I just don't because I get too scared of scratching it. And so that's where I'm like, okay, if I get one of the flippable ones and it has the strap on the back too, then that will be great and I can take my Kindle more places and read more, which is really the goal here. So that's what I'm wanting to get. Maybe I get paid, I think, this week. So maybe I'll do it and I get paid. We'll see. Got to get like a cart service, which is really exciting, and a few other things. So it might not be for the week for it, but if it is, that would be really exciting. And so anyway, I've just completely gone off topic of what I was even saying. But the book that I have finished recently, I've kind of been in between a couple and I didn't know what I wanted. I'm a really big mood reader and sometimes I do really just want a romance. Sometimes I do want a fantasy. Sometimes I just like want a really specific book, but it's just not out or I've already read it. And so I've kind of been in that wishy-washy stage. And then I finished, it's called Chasing Fields by Gabriella Skies. I've read it, so if I open it, I wonder if it'll just take me to the beginning again. Maybe not. Anyway, I'll put the photo and the book stuff up here, but I finished this book in a matter of days, which I didn't even realize how big of a book it was. I think it's like 580 pages or something. It's almost 600 pages. And I read it in a few days. I just couldn't stop reading it and I couldn't put it down. It's quite a sad book, but it's really good. So in this book, we're following our two main characters, Kai and Alex, and big trigger warnings for this book. There is a lot of talk around abuse and from a family member, abuse from a family member. It's on the pages, and also like homophobic comments and just a lot of, I guess, like harder topics for probably a lot of people. So definitely read. There is trigger warnings at the start of the book, and then obviously if you don't want to read it, 100% understand that. It's the first book in what I assume will be a duology, and it definitely ends on a little bit of a, I don't know if cliffhanger is the right word for this situation, but it ends in where I imagine the next book will pick up. So maybe cliffhanger, it's just not like a dramatic kind of cliffhanger, if that makes sense. But this book, we're following our two main characters. We have Kai and we have Alex, and like I said, this book deals with quite heavy topics. It was really beautiful, but really sad. It was both things. Like Kai, I think as a character, he really reminded me of Nick from Heartstopper in that he's just so pure and kind and loving and safe and just such a good character, but just like a good man of a character. And then we have Alex, who is our other main character, and he just has such a shitty time. He's bullied quite badly at school, but then he also has his brother at home. Is he bullied at school? Am I mixing that up with something else? I might be mixing that up with something else. Maybe he's not bullied at school, actually. I might be thinking of a different book, but he has a really bad time at home with his brother. His mom is not very present, not really being a parent at all. She struggles a lot with addiction, and so she drinks and uses drugs and isn't really, like I said, a parent to him. His dad's never been in the picture, and then his brother, who has been around a lot of DV growing up, is quite violent towards him and is also quite homophobic towards him. And so we kind of see that Alex is very shut off and very reserved from friendships, romantic relationships, just anything. And Kai and him get paired up for a project. And they're quite opposites in that Kai is quite popular. He's a football player. His dad died when he was younger, but it's been him and his mum's great. And then Alex obviously has the opposite of that. And so it's very much like two opposite worlds coming together and seeing their friendship bloom, and then these romantic feelings coming up for them as well. And Kai, this is set in the UK, so when you read it, it reads very like British, like humour language, words for like girls and dating and stuff like that. And Kai is very much like in the football, pretty sure it's football, in the football, like going pro, like his dad was, realm, where obviously all his friends are constantly talking about girls and hooking up with girls. And as you know, generally, I think they're 17 or 18 in this book, because again, it's in the UK where they have GCSEs. So they're older, and Kai's just never really thought about really relationships, being with a guy especially. And then he starts falling for Alex, but of course Alex has so much trauma and is in such an unsafe environment at home that for him, having capacity for that is quite limited. And it really broke my heart, obviously, you know, seeing on the page what was happening to Alex, and just the PTSD, the like amount of, I guess, like mental health related difficulties he has and is going to continue to have is really sad. I did cry a little bit in the book, but at the same time, it was really beautiful to see Kai be that safe space for him, and that it wasn't like this added level of like toxicity. Like there's none of that in this book between the two main characters, which I really appreciated, and that it was actually showing a safe, healthy relationship in person. And at the end, like I said, it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, but it does end on what will happen in the second book, and I imagine Alex will probably shut down based off that, and then it will be about having to kind of rebuild that relationship together. So yeah, I finished that in like a matter of days, and like I said, I didn't even realize it was that big of a book until after, and I like saw the page count and I was like, oh, it's actually a really big book. I finished that, and then like I said, I've been kind of back and forth between a few books, but two that I've been really into and that I'm going to continue reading in this video. One of them is The Midnight Girls by Alicia Asinska, I think is how you say it, which this book's been out for quite a while, and this is a sapphic fantasy book, and we're following our two main characters. So we have Makina, and then we have Zozia, which I love that name. I love the name Zozia. That's such a cool name. And these are our two main characters, and this fantasy world is quite interesting concept. So both of them work for different grandmothers, which are just different witches. So we have the Midnight Witch, we have the Midday Witch, then we have the, oh, what is she? She's another kind of witch. There's 4 witches essentially, and all of them work in gaining power by taking princes' hearts. And so Makina, she is her grandma. So her grandma is the Red Jaeger, which is like the Red Witch. And then we have Zoza, who her grandmother is the Midnight Witch. And so they are rivals in that they're now trying to get this prince's heart. This is like the biggest prince that they have, and he has the purest of hearts. And so they're both trying to get them for different reasons. Zoza is trying to get it so that she has enough power for herself and she can be free of her grandmother. And then Makina is trying to get it so that she can prove to her grandmother that she's worthy, because essentially if they don't prove their worth, then they get eaten and then they get replaced, which is a pretty brutal magic system and magic world, but it's really interesting. And these two meet, and Makina is like obsessed with the Midnight Girl, is what she calls her, the Midnight Thief, but she doesn't know that Zoza is the Midnight Girl. And they meet, making their way to the capital, to the prince, and they end up actually sharing a carriage, and they get along really well, and there's these really cute little bits of tension between them, and then they separate. But again, Makina doesn't know that Zoza is the Midnight Witch. And now we're at the part, I'm like 20% of the way through, where they've gotten to the capital, they're going to a ball, and I'm really intrigued. I really like Makina. I think she's quite funny. And like I said, I love the name Zoza. I think it's so cool. And I'm really intrigued. I really like it. I love the cover. I'll put that up here. I've wanted to read this book for a while, and I started it the other day, and it's got me hooked. So that's one of the books that I'm going to be continuing to read. And then the other book is one by Haley Turner, which I haven't read a Haley Turner book in so long. I think one of the first like queer fantasy books I read was a Haley Turner book in like, I don't know, like 2018, 2019. Maybe it was like 2019, 2020. It was sometime around then, a long time ago, and I've not read any since then. But she's just had a new release, and it's called Bright Dead Things. And this book has really intrigued me because it's going to be about fae and witches and magic, and I'm really in the mood for a fae book. That's what I was craving, is not just the magic system, but the fae. I love reading about the fae, and I felt like I haven't read a good one in a few years. And so this one, we're following our two main characters. We're following Killian, I want to say is how you pronounce it. I could be mispronouncing it, but he is a park ranger. And so essentially this city, well, not a city, it's a small town, but this small town, there's like 2 shops in it, and then it surrounds a forest, which everyone knows you don't be in the forest at night because bad things happen, essentially. And so he's a park ranger, and this book kind of starts with bodies being found, and these bodies belong to our other main character, Bran, his mum and his stepdad. So he is a witch. His mum runs this shop, which is like a witch shop. He'd moved away to Boston, and he's come back because obviously they're dead. I don't know why I said that like so brutal, but they're dead, and now he's having to take over as the coven's main witch. I forget what it's called. As a mage, maybe? As the main witch of his family's coven, essentially. And the coven aims to protect the town from what happens in the forest, which they keep referring to it as lights. And I don't quite know what these lights are going to be. And there's like one part of this book that actually reminds me a bit from where there's these paths with different witches' symbols that lead to these little huts that are protected from what happens in the forest. So if it gets to twilight and you feel like you can't get home, you need to go there, otherwise you will die, essentially. And so we see his parents die, but his sister, she escaped. However, there's been a spell cast on her that she can't speak. So she currently is mute, unable to talk. And we're following these two, which from the blurb of this book, she goes missing and they have to go and find her together. There's clearly some history between these two characters. I believe Bran kissed Killian when they were in high school, and for whatever reason, he didn't think that Killian reciprocated that, and then he moved away. And so there's this awkwardness, this tension between them, and they're going to have to go find his sister, and there's going to be fae involved because you get a fae map at the start. And I'm really intrigued. I'm really enjoying the writing. I'm loving the, I'm really enjoying the story so far. I'm enjoying like the setting and the atmosphere. I really feel like I'm in this small town and like I can really visualize what's happening. and I'm just intrigued to see where this goes. I also really like the cover of this one. I'll put it up here. Cover makes or breaks it for me. If I don't really like covers, I won't maybe pick something up, and this cover is what intrigued me. So yeah, those are the 2 books that I'm currently reading. I'm going to be reading in this vlog. Going to love you and leave you, and I'll see you at my parents' house for prom night and to see my cat. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Wow, I look a little bit like an egg today, but we're just going to bear with. I am 61% of the way through Bright Dead Things by Haley Turner, and I wanted to come on here, give you guys a bit of an update. I've just been reading it, picking it up. It's been really good. This is going to be a spoiler vlog, by the way. So if you don't want spoilers, please click away. But if you don't mind them, welcome. I can't shut up about spoilers. So in this book, like I said, we're following our 2 main characters, Bran, who is a witch, and then Killian, who has been his childhood best friend. And then they had a bit of a miscommunication about a kiss, and then they've gone like their separate ways. It's been 7 years. Bran's parents are dead, and his sister's been taken by the Fae. And so this book has taken a turn that I thought it would, in that, what is going on here? Anyway, I'm distracted by my hair. It's taken a turn in that Killian, shock surprise, is Fae, which I could kind of see coming a little bit because he's always had an aversion to iron, which, if you don't know, in Fae kind of lore, iron is quite deadly to Fae and is what can kill them. And so he's always had an aversion, and so I had a thought that he might be Fae. And then they go through the portal, basically the wording, to the other world, which is where the Fae reside. And we see them on their journey where they end up getting caught by one of the lords who is part of the Summer Court. And obviously the other Fae are catching on that Killian is actually Fae, and they know that, and they know his true identity, but Bran obviously doesn't, and Killian doesn't either. And then we get the big reveal that Killian is actually the Winter Prince. He's just completely forgotten everything, and he hadn't been in his Fae form. And so then he sheds his skin, which sounds as gross as it is. And well, actually he doesn't like voluntarily shed his skin. Someone like literally like cuts his old skin from him. It's not that graphic, but it's a little bit gross when I'm saying it out loud. And he is actually the Winter Prince, which is a big turn of events. I was expecting him to be Fae, but for some reason wasn't expecting him to be like an important Fae, which I don't really know why I wasn't expecting that, but he is. And so they were in kind of like the hostage of the Lord on their way to the, I guess the king maybe? It's called the Daj of the Summer Court, because the Summer Court and the Winter Court were at war. And so having Killian in their grasp is like the best, basically. But then Killian and Bran have been saved by the Winter Court, essentially, and they recognize Killian obviously as their king, but he doesn't recognize anyone. And it's really interesting dynamic because Bran, he's a witch, and witches and Fae have been at war for so long, but it's cool to see the lore around the Fae and that they come from Ireland and what that kind of looks like, and how obviously Bran gets one side, which is the witch's side of events, but he's not really seeing the Fae side. And so the lord that he was with wants to make Bran like his pet because he is a witch, but has also been showing him the history of the Fae, and I think might have a bit of a crush on Bran, which if Killian wasn't the main love interest, I would almost be shipping those 2 together, but I know that's not going to be the case. I think he'll play a part of it, but he won't be the other love interest, obviously. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Again, I'm at 60%. I've been really enjoying it. I've been reading it at like every chance I get, and I'm intrigued to see how it ends, because right now we're at a point where Killian and Bran are together on like this pirate ship that they've been rescued from. And so I'm intrigued to see where the story goes from here, what that looks like. Obviously there will be a few books. I think there might be 3. I don't know. I know there'll definitely be a second book, but I'm really loving it. If you are wanting a fae, a magic based book that's written well, has good characters, I would definitely recommend checking it out because I'm having a great time with it so far. And so I've been reading that, and then I have mainly just been reading that actually, but then I've also been, when I have time, reading The Midnight Girls as well. And I just really love Makina, one of the main characters, and Sosa. And so once I finish Bright Dead Things, I'll definitely be reading The Midnight Girls because I'm also really intrigued by that. So that's the current reading update for you. But yeah, hi, how are you? Hope you're doing well. And I'll talk to you guys a bit later. I'm gonna go to the gym after work today. Oh my god, fuck, I have my car service. I'm gonna go, bye. There's a car and it's really pissing me off. It's really loud. I've like shut everything that I can, but if you can still hear it slightly, just know it's annoying you as much as it's annoying me, because it's doing like that just when guys especially try and be cool and they like rev their cars a lot. Yeah, it's so annoying. I'm like, please politely fuck off and move somewhere else because you're driving me insane. I think it's gone now. It's stopped. Anyway, hi, welcome. Last I saw you guys, well, didn't actually see, last I spoke to you, I was reading Bright Dead Things, which I have finished the other night, not last night, the night before, and I have some thoughts. So I enjoyed the overall story. I really loved some elements, like the fae aspect of it, really enjoyed, because I love anything fae related. And I really like when people actually turn out to be like princes of things, which Killian is the Winter Prince. So I thought that was really cool. And the whole book, when we found out that Brian's sister, she's a banshee, but the whole book, I was reading it literally as it was written and like pronouncing it that way in my head. And it was written like BEAN space SI. So the whole book I was calling her the Beansea. And I was like, what is a Beansea, I wonder? And then at the end of the book, it had a glossary and it was like a banshee. And I was like, oh, that makes much more sense than a Beansea, because I was so lost for a second there. But because it's Irish and is it Gaelic? Yeah, I think it's Gaelic. I just like wasn't clicking that maybe it's not literally what it is saying, but anyway, that aspect of it was really cool as well. My main, I guess, like criticism of it is I'd say the chemistry between Bran and Killian isn't the best. Like, as main characters, I really like them, but as a couple, I don't know, I just felt like, yes, they'd known each other for a very long time and they are mates. Spoiler, sorry. They are mates. I just felt like it was kind of done. Like the tension wasn't really there. I didn't really get the chemistry from them that much. Like it didn't really reel me in. What kept me wanting to read was the actual story, because I found the story quite interesting and I found the characters interesting, Bran being my favorite. But them as a couple wasn't very interesting to me, and I felt like it was lacking something. Like I was much more inclined to think that Bran and another person in the book, well, another fae in the book, had more chemistry than these two did, even though he was like the villain and it would have been like a really good enemies to lovers. But anyway, that's lost potential, but I'm not the author, so overall enjoyed like the writing, enjoyed the world setting, enjoyed the fae aspect, just didn't love the relationship. But I did finish it. I will probably check out the second book because again, I quite like the characters and the world, and it's quite detailed as well, which I thought was great. I just am not really there for their relationship. Maybe in the second book it'll develop more, there'll be more chemistry and I'll have different opinions on it, but as of right now, relationship wise, not my absolute favorite. And then I have been reading The Midnight Girls as well. I'm at like 30% of the way through that and I'm really enjoying it, and they have met the prince now. So I'm going to keep reading that, but I have also seen another book that's kind of caught my attention. And how I tend to find books when they're like a bit more obscure or newer, or they're just not very like big popular books, is I'll always put in Kindle queer and then whatever genre it is that I'm looking for. So like if it's fantasy, I'll put it in queer fantasy. If it's horror, horror, so on, so on, so. So I always do that, and I'll just scroll down just to see what's out, what catches my attention. And today I was doing so, and this book got my attention, which I'd show you the cover, but you can't really see it on a Kindle, so I'll just put it up here. It's called The Hollow Dark, the Anchored Duology Book 1 by Tony Duart, which I've never heard of this author before, never read a book by them, but the cover intrigued me quite a lot, and then also reading the blurb of the book really enticed me, so I want to give this a read. It's a queer upper YA paranormal dark fantasy about forbidden magic, fractured loyalties, found family, and the courage it takes to claim your truth in a world that demands your silence. That sounds fantastic. It sounds exactly what I'm looking for. And then I'll read out the blurb, which, bear with me, when I am having to read something out, my speech is not always great, so apologies in advance. August is a cynical, unambitious prince with a dark secret. He can see the dead. Haunted by the relentless anchored spirits, he'd give anything to be free of the curse. But it's not the ghost he fears most. It's the truth that could unravel everything. He's a wielder, one of the very few people he's been raised to hate. Felix is brilliant, driven and dangerous, a rare triple wielder with outlawed magic and a vision for a better world. He's proud of who he is, but in a country where magic users are feared and punished, he knows being discovered means death. He spent his life hiding his power behind a mask of charm and control, forced to swallow back the growing resentment. When August and Felix meet at a festival, their connection is instant, electric, and doomed. As wielders begin to vanish, a desperate search for answers ended in betrayal that twists friendship into enmity? Enmity. Not what that word means. 2 years later, they meet again, this time as enemies, forced to unite against an apocalyptic threat of their own making. It sounds fantastic. That has so much potential, and it's like 450 pages, so I know it's gonna be good in the details. And I've read like a page and already I really like the writing style of this author, and some of the descriptions have been really cool so far. So I might put The Midnight Girls on pause or just go back and forth between these two. But this one's really caught my interest and is feeling more of what I'm really wanting. I'm really just like craving a good like fantasy with enemies. I don't really want smart. I want it to be like a lot of that tension that it builds and builds, and then there's like a kiss. That's what I'm really wanting. So I'm hoping this can give me that, because it is YA or upper YA. I think it's 15 and over. I'm assuming there's probably not going to be a lot of smut in it, which is exactly what I'm wanting. So I'm going to read this and continue on The Midnight Girls, see where we go. Today's Sunday. I have been looking really all day trying to find a new mattress, because my mattress is giving me so much bad like lower back pain. And I wake up every day and I'm like, am I 50? Like, why is my back so sore? And I'm like literally like crunching to get to the bathroom, you know? It just shouldn't be happening. So I've had this mattress for so long though. It's really done me well, but I am going to get a new mattress. I've rearranged my apartment a little bit. I might show you guys and then you can give me some feedback, because I live in like a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom situation, and there's like an outside bit that is, because I'm on like the second kind of level of things, that's just such wasted space because it's outdoors. I really wish it was enclosed, but anyway. That aside, I don't have much in ways of like my living room space, And so I just I don't know, I'm trying to find ways to make it like just used a bit more, because I feel like I am just like wasting the space that I do have out there. And so I moved things around yesterday. I'm going to show you guys, and you can tell me what you think. If you have any thoughts that might make it a little bit better, that would be really helpful. And if you don't, that's okay. But anyway, all that aside, those are the books. So I've read that book, I'm going to read that one, and I'm already like 30% of the way through the Midnight Girls. And that's how we're going. So I have one more day off, which is tomorrow. And then tragically I have to go back to work. But I would love to do some more reading tomorrow. Maybe we can go for like a little reading date. That could be cute. Maybe go to the library, or maybe just even read at home. But I would really like to do some more reading tomorrow/tonight. I also really want to start learning Korean again. I started learning, gosh, a long time ago now. Like, oh, you wouldn't be able to tell from the lack of Korean I can actually speak, but a long time ago when I got really obsessed with BTS right here, I started learning Korean. I just really struggled to start learning things, not even to start, because I get really fixated on something, but then once I stop, and there's like no saving me from it. So I have stopped for years now, and even when I was learning, I learned like a very basic. So I would really like, my goal of this year is to learn a language, not fully obviously, but to just start again, to just start it, make it a habit, to do it. So I really want to do that again. I might set you guys up and you can watch me learn a little bit of Korean. Other than that, I think the last clip you saw, I had completely forgotten about having to get my car serviced. I was at mid chatting away happily and realized, oh shit, I need to go and get my car serviced, and I was running late. So I did put a little clip of how foggy it was on the mountains when I was coming down, but I hadn't spoken to you since then, because then I had not a very good what day was that even? I think that was Wednesday. I didn't have a great Thursday or Friday. I had no social energy left in me. And Friday was a public holiday. Actually, Thursday. I didn't have a very good Thursday. I had a good Friday. And then yesterday, I just relaxed on my couch all day, essentially, and got grilled for dinner. So you haven't missed much. I've just been recharging because I was just a bit dysregulated the other day, but we're doing better. So I'm going to show you, and so apparently is my new word that I can't stop saying. I'm going to show you my lounge room, and then we're going to do some Korean, and then we're going to pick up this book. I've also dyed my brows and lashes this morning because God knows I needed it. They were running on like month or 2 months without anything, and they were looking rough, just like my hair is, but that's fine. One thing at a time. Going to put you on 0.5, but if you remember, this couch was initially, when I first moved in, I had a different couch and it was here, but it was far too big and it took up so much space. Then I got a new couch and I had put it there, which there is a massive window. I can roll that whole thing up, have lots of light, but the issue is the neighbors across can see directly in, and I don't love that. So I would always have my couch there, and then I had my coffee table just like floating in the middle here, and then just like this space, because you come in, this is essentially my whole like kitchenette, living room, and then you come into my bedroom situation. And so yesterday I was like, I'm just gonna give it a go and try, because this couch is much smaller than my old couch was. It is a sofa bed. It's from Koala, not sponsored. Paid for that with all my own money, but it's a Koala bed. So I always thought like there's no point in moving it here because it can't pull out properly. But I was like, I'm just gonna give it a try. So I've moved my sofa here instead, and then I've made this like a little like art space almost. I think looking in the camera now, it's a little bit off. I'm going to move that over a little bit. But I wanted it to be an art space, a creative space. I have like all my stuff under there. And then this pot plant used to be like on that side of the door. And then you come over here. This is my little, what's this even called? I'm really just blanking on what it's called. This is my TV stand situation. And my record player used to be on that side and my TV was on the angle. But I just felt like my neck was getting sore from constantly being on an angle. So I wanted it to be like straight on. So this is how I've got it now. It's pretty much the same. I used to have all that stuff that's on the sides on the coffee table. It's now on the sides alongside all my Sonys. And yeah, that's what I've got so far. I would like to add something more here, like maybe some more pictures or something, but I just don't want to overdo it. But I think some more pictures might look good in this nook space. So this is what it's looking like. And so I was talking about, I have this whole, we won't go out there, but I have this whole outdoor situation that I try my best to use, but I just prefer being indoors. It's cleaner, it's nicer. And then this is like my kitchen space, which, no, I don't have an oven, but I have just gotten this, which is a lifesaver. And then coffee area, my fridge. Yeah, that's what I've done. Let me know your thoughts. It definitely feels better. It feels more intentional, and like that just looked a bit weird being out in the middle with then like nothing. I considered getting a rug, but I just didn't. So now I feel like I like it better in that corner. I put the pillow and blanket on the floor so I can like sit there, journal, draw, study, whatever. And then this has remained the same because that's the only PowerPoint I have on this entire wall besides up here. So the TV has to stay there, essentially. Anyway, that's what's been going on. Let me know your thoughts down below. This is her. This is my apartment. I'd love some suggestions. I'm going to make a cup of tea and then I might continue watching some YouTube. I do want to start studying today, but it's like almost 4 o'clock and my brain does not function that well after probably like 12 o'clock in terms of studying. So I think that's a tomorrow situation. I'm going to do some study tomorrow, edit this vlog, and then relax and do some reading. But that's what I'm going to do. Put the kettle on. Sounds that you're hearing, they're my indoor shoes, by the way. This is my mug collection. Might do this one. I made this. Well, I didn't make the actual mug, but I chose the colours and painted it for my mum's birthday last year. And I love this cup. Be careful, because the tea bag is broken. It's really fun. Broken everywhere. Yep. Tea bag in. A little teaspoon of sugar in. And then a little bit of almond milk, but I'll show you the good almond milk. I used to drink oat milk exclusively, however, I have seen a naturopath and she's highly advised me, why am I speaking over my kettle? I don't know. But she's advised me to stop drinking oat milk because it's not very good for PCOS. which was really hard to do, but I've stopped. And so I've been trying different like barista almond milks because I don't like almond milk, and I really don't like it in hot drinks because it like separates and goes gross. But this one's been really good. This one hasn't separated, tastes good, doesn't go weird. So if you need to make the switch too, I'd recommend that one. Have any snacks? Not really. I ate them all. This is a highly unattractive angle and I look highly unattractive, but my new case, my iPad has arrived. I've had this one for so long now and it's done me well, but all the edges are starting to get a bit grotty and it's just time for an upgrade. So I'm going to put my iPad into its new case. Just going to give it a good wipe over before doing so. iPad case has several great things about it. One, your pencil stays on top, so it's always charging. And then it's like spins, so you can have your iPad this way, or you can have it just the normal way like this, and it has a much better stand. It's so exciting. Anyway, this is my new iPad. This is her, well, my new iPad case, and I would love to get a sticker to put on here. Also, my new, I'll just turn you around. My new mattress topper are in. I've done my returns. I've done everything. Just gonna pop you up here. By the way, I've been to the gym, hence why I look atrocious. I'm gonna end the video here because it's already too long. I've been editing it and it's like bordering on an hour. So I need to stop talking because I just talk so much. But I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. I'm still reading Midnight Girls. I think I'm like 40-ish, 45% of the way through it. I'm really enjoying it so far. I love their chemistry and they have just found out like who each other are. And so now they're back to enemies instead of being friends, and that's been really fun. I haven't started the other book yet, but I think I'm going to continue a reading vlog, continue reading this, and continue reading that book that I was talking about yesterday. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you if you've watched the whole thing. That means so much. I know how long it is and how much I just chat. If you've read any of these books, please comment down below. Let me know. If you want to read them, let me know. But other than that, I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, I hope you do well. I hope you are well. And I'll talk to you then. Bye.